Hello Internet, this is Sophia. Today I would like to discuss with you something called instant runoff voting, and I'd also like to introduce you to a variant whose concept I've been developing that I call full enfranchisement instant runoff voting. Let's say that you're voting in an election in which the two candidates are Adolf Hitler and Susan B. Anthony. This is not going to be a very difficult choice because Hitler is such an evil person and Susan B. Anthony is someone who's done so much good that it's a no-brainer that you are going to cast your vote for Susan B. Anthony. But what if the person running against Adolf Hitler is not Susan B. Anthony, but, say, John Lackluster? Still, it's a no-brainer because John Lackluster may not be such a great paragon of good like Susan B. Anthony, but he's not such an epitome of evil like Adolf Hitler. In this election, too, it is very simple. You are going to cast your vote for John Lackluster. So, where exactly does voting get tricky? Things start getting tricky when we're dealing with a three-way race. Again, Adolf Hitler is running, but also running, we have this time both John Lackluster and Susan B. Anthony. At first you think that this is still a no-brainer because Susan B. Anthony is clearly the best of these three candidates, but then you find out something else. You learn that John Lackluster has a much wider political support base than Susan B. Anthony and has a real good shot at defeating Adolf Hitler, while Susan B. Anthony has virtually no chance of winning the election. You then turn on the news and find out that there are a lot of modern-day Nazis who are rallying behind Adolf Hitler, and clearly he's the one whom they're going to vote for. Your heart sinks as you realize that John Lackluster is the only one who has a real shot at defeating Adolf Hitler, and he needs every vote he can get in order to do it. So, would you rather vote for John Lackluster, who isn't really the candidate whom you favor the most, or vote for Susan B. Anthony, knowing that that choice is not the choice that will stand in the way of Adolf Hitler winning? Now, anyone who knows me knows that I have my views about what somebody ought to do when put in this situation. However, that's completely beside the point here. What is to the point is how wrong it is that voters can be put in this situation to begin with. Voting should be your chance to assert who it is that you want to be governed by. It is wrong for it to be turned into a high-stakes game of would you rather. Instant runoff voting is meant as a solution to this bind. With instant runoff voting, also known as ranked choice voting, instead of having to vote just for one candidate, you can specify who your number one choice would be, in this case, Susan B. Anthony, as well as whom your second choice would be, in this case, John Lackluster. In the first round of counting the votes, your vote will go to whichever candidate you ranked first. If no candidate receives a majority of votes during that first round, then whichever candidate received the fewest votes will be eliminated for the next round of counting the votes. If the candidate who was eliminated happens to be your top pick, then in the second round, your vote will go to whichever candidate you ranked second. If instant runoff voting is instituted, then the spoiler effect, in which a vote for the candidate whom you prefer the most can potentially result in the election of the candidate whom you favor the least will no longer be the ominous threat that it is today. So, what is full enfranchisement instant runoff voting, and how is it superior to other variants of instant runoff voting? Basically, there are two very important features. For starters, some variants of instant runoff voting will only allow you to rank up to 3 candidates. This, of course, works just fine when there are no more than 4 candidates total on the ballot. However, if you can only rank up to 3 candidates, then the moment that there is a 5th candidate on the ballot, there is again the danger of your vote getting thrown out before a winner can be declared. By the time there are 8 candidates on the ballot, the spoiler effect is once again a serious concern. Full enfranchisement instant runoff voting, however, patches this shortcoming up by mandating that the maximum number of candidates that you are allowed to rank will always be 1 fewer than the total number of candidates on the ballot. That way, if you make full use of this feature, you are guaranteed to always have at least one of the people whom you ranked still in the running, at least up till the point that a winner can be declared. However, there's another special feature of full enfranchisement instant runoff voting, and unlike the first feature, this second feature sets it apart from pretty much every variant of instant runoff voting that's out there that I know of. Full enfranchisement instant runoff voting gives you an option for when you can't decide between a few of the candidates on the ballot. Let's take this example. Let's say there's another election in which once again running for office there is Adolf Hitler, John Lackluster, and Susan B. Anthony. But this time, there's also 2 more candidates in the mix, Lucretia Mott and Frederick Douglass. Up till now, strategic considerations aside, Susan B. Anthony has consistently been the best candidate available. However, with Lucretia Mott and Frederick Douglass added to the mix, this is suddenly no longer so clear. Unless you know something about one of these 3 really excellent candidates that would put them above the other 2, most variants of instant runoff voting would require you to take a wild guess. However, full enfranchisement instant runoff voting gives you another option. All you have to do is specify that your first pick is a tie between Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott, and Frederick Douglass. Then you can specify John Lackluster as your unambiguous 4th pick. In the first round of counting, 1/3 of your vote will go to each of these 3 really excellent candidates. If you are worried that this will water down your vote, then don't worry, because full enfranchisement instant runoff voting mandates that only 1 candidate may be eliminated per round of vote counting. So when one of your top picks is eliminated, the remaining 2 will each get a full half of your vote. And when one of them is eliminated, whichever one of them remains will receive the full force of your vote. Granted, it would be rather rare that in a real election you wouldn't have one candidate who would be your definite number 1 pick. You would probably have a definite order of preference of the candidates whom you prefer the most, as well as with the candidates whom you favor the least. but from among the candidates who are between those extremes, you are very likely to find a few that you genuinely can't choose between. This system will therefore allow you to more accurately specify your preference. And in general, it is a key democratic principle that voting should be people's opportunity to faithfully assert their preference in government. To this end, any form of instant runoff voting would be a vast improvement over a system that does not incorporate instant runoff voting. However, full enfranchisement instant runoff voting would fulfill this purpose best of all. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please hit the thumbs up button and leave your comment in the comments area below. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell icon to increase the chance that you will be notified when I add new videos to this channel in the future. And until next time, see ya!